What's up YouTube? My name is Caden and you're watching Gas It Garage. In today's video, we are going to be doing part 2 of the 670 Yerf Dog project. So, I did a few things off camera between videos, like mounting these right here, which are these supports for the engine mounts, the first pair at least. The second pair is going to go on the back there and go up to that bar. And then I also mounted the CVT plate on the engine here. I had to re-drill the holes. I didn't bother filming it just because it took me forever and it's kind of boring. But I also found out that one of the bearings is absolutely shredded. I'm not sure how this happened, but if you remember from the last video, I found that the jack shaft over here was kind of loose, and I figured this was probably the case. So I ordered some new bearings to go in there. So I should have a functioning CVT. So I have the engine bolted in. I just need to take this CVT plate off so I can put in the new bearings that I got. Once I do that, then I can start building the second set of supports that's going to go on the back here. Okay, so I have one new bearing here. I'm still going to use the old one because there's no damage and it still spins like butter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean out the two spots where the bearings are going to go, because I want a snug fit. I don't want any grease or debris or metal shavings or any of that stuff in there. Now when you're hammering bearings in, you're going to want to hammer on this outside ring, because if you hammer on the inside, it could destroy the bearing. So get in there and then just do the same thing for the other side. Oh, that just slides right in there actually. So now I have to kind of trim this down a little bit because it did get dented and scored a little bit. So I have to flatten it out so I can get this piece off, and then I will be able to reinstall this on this plate. So I have the CVT mounted back on here with the secondary pulley all bolted in, and it spins nice and smooth. Right now I'm going to start on the second set of supports back here for the engine mount. Okay, so I made these two pieces, and these are going to go right here, approximately. I'm going to weld it into the bottom like that. Looks a little weird, but it's the only way it's going to work, where it's going to clear the oil cooler right there. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get these welded in there, and then I can finally take this out from under here so I can have room to start building the trailing arms. So real quick, one important thing that you always want to do when you're welding to a painted surface is grind the paint off, because when I was first building things, I didn't grind the paint off when I welded, and it sort of stuck, but once it was put under any sort of load, the welds would break off because the paint gets between the weld and the surface you're welding to and doesn't allow it to stick properly, and it won't be very strong. So always grind the paint off when you're getting ready to weld to it. get these things welded up. Okay, so I have these welded up and they don't look too bad. What I'm going to do right now is cut out the notch that I need in the frame right there so I can put the driven sprocket onto the axle. But first, let's see if this thing holds itself up when I take this out. I think that looks pretty good. So let's get that thing cut out and I can get that sprocket on. And actually I'm also going to cut out the slot for the brake disc too, so I can mount it and I can possibly locate where I'm going to put the braking mechanism and brake caliper and master cylinder and all that. So okay, I have the slot right here cut out for the sprocket and it just barely clears in there, and I left a little extra room so I can put the chain on. And then over here I did the same thing on the other side right there. That's where the brake disc is going to go. I haven't put it on yet because I'm going to still be taking this axle in and out a few more times so I can put the driven sprockets, or I'm sorry, driver sprockets on for the trailing arms, and also so I can locate my brake caliper mount. I also have these other axle hangers put on, and those are going to be the mounts for the trailing arms. So now that I have all this stuff done, I can finally start actually building the main framework for the trailing arms. But it's late, so I will see you in the morning. All right, so today I'm going to start by coming out here and cutting apart the pieces that I need to start building the trailing arms. I'm probably going to use the longer pieces on here because I need longer straight pieces of tubing so I can get the length I need for the trailing arms. And I am going to have to measure them this time and cut them a lot more precisely than I did the roll cage, because I need to make both sides as near perfect as I can in terms of being symmetrical. So let's get started. right, so I have a whole bunch of tubes cut out from the go-kart over there, and I kind of put the tires where I think they're going to go approximately, and I measured it out to where it's somewhat square, and I think it looks pretty good. Now, I was going to use these original tires just for mock-up, and then maybe for a test drive once I get this thing fully built, but I realized that these hubs that I bought are a slightly larger bolt pattern than the wheels in there. I ordered a 36-inch go-kart axle from Go Power Sports that I'm going to chop in half and use for both the rear axles on the back of the trailing arms that the driven sprockets and tires are going to be mounted on. But my plan is kind of to have almost like an X pattern. So I'm basically going to have one of these, obviously not this long, but one of these go from this axle hanger right here, and it's going to go down to the inside of the wheel. And then I'm going to have a brace going from that one to the middle of this one. And then I'm going to run a third set of pipes coming from the middle of this one going to a second mount point and bearing that's going to sit about right here. Because I'm going to have my chain probably either in the middle or on the outside edge. And I'm going to do the same thing on both sides. So each side is going to require at least 6 longer pieces of tubing, not including all of the cross bracing that I'm going to put in later. So I'm going to go cut the rest of these out and then wait for parts to get here. All right, so I have all the parts I need now to start building the trailing arms, and I've got these axles put together. I have the hubs on, and I mounted these pillow block bearings on here, and also the drive sprockets. I have both the bearings on each axle measured out and even distance apart, and then I also made these pieces which I'm going to mount onto the pillow blocks, and basically they're going to sit vertically like this, and the tubes up here are going to be welded to the inside corner of these. Now I do have to measure everything out and get these exactly lined up where they need to go, and I also need to find some wheels to get on Facebook Marketplace, but I'm going to get started measuring everything out and get these bolted onto the pillow blocks and start welding. All right, so I have the first trailing arm tacked together, and I'd say it looks pretty good. I am going to put a bunch of cross bracing on this when I'm finished, I just have to order the chains that are going to go on the trailing arms here, because I have to see where exactly those are going to be so I can build all the cross bracing without hitting the chain. But let's see if this thing pivots like it's supposed to. All right, looks like everything is staying straight here. I'm probably going to put a few more tack welds on this just so it kind of stays together. But after I do that, I'm going to start building the other one. Okay, so I have both the trailing arms finally tacked together and they look pretty even. I did notice that this axle right here is tilted this way slightly, so I'm going to need to put some washers kind of right in between there, and that's actually why I did it like this, so I can put washers in between the pillow block bearings and the pieces of angle iron there to tension the chain. But I'm gonna need to do a couple more on this side because the hub is a little bit more that way than this side right here. Because if this axle isn't exactly square with jack shaft, my alignment is gonna be off. So I'll add some washers to that a little bit later after I get the tires that I need to buy. But for right now, I'm gonna finish welding these together, and then I'm going to start on the cross bracing. Alright, so I have this trailing arm all fully welded together. This one is still just tacked because I actually ran out of welding wire, so I can't start welding this together until I go get some more welding wire. But I'm gonna have to end this video here because there's really nothing more I can do at the moment. So in part 3 of this project, I'm going to start building the cross bracing. I'm going to be mounting the shocks and putting on the chains, and hopefully the wheels and tires also, assuming I can find some on Marketplace. But I gotta end this video here, guys, so thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment, and I will see you in part 3.